Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into today's third video doing the CFS 6 month look ahead for today's third video. So as the name suggests, on the tin we're going to go 6 months ahead with the long range CFS V2 model. It's going to take us from next month, from October, and we go right way through the rest of the autumn, through winter, and actually we arrive at the beginning of spring 2020. We get through to March 2020 with this update. So we're going to have a look at the 700 millibar height anomalies first for the next 6 months. Then we'll have a look at the corresponding temperature and precipitation anomalies that go with those heights. And we'll see what CFS has to say about whether the rest of the autumn, through winter, and to the beginning of the spring of 2020 very shortly. Just to say that the 2 videos released so far today, they're not going to be any more after this, by the way, but the 2 videos that were released earlier today, the weekend forecast, as always, on a Saturday, your weekend look ahead, and also the weather for the next week to 10 days and beyond. That video is here on the homepage at gavsweathervids.com, and just scroll down a little bit, you'll find it above the weather alerts section. Tomorrow, of course, got winter update coming up, so it's going to be a really, really big day. Talk about more about that at the end of the video. Right, so let's have a look at the 700 millibar height anomalies for the next 6 months, and then have a look at the corresponding temperature and precipitation anomalies that go with those heights. Remember, this is just for fun. It's just for a laugh. See what model is showing. Month 1, 2, hopefully, if model is working correctly, that has some scientific merit to it. It's only like a month or so away. As you get through to months 3, 4, 5, 6, then no, that is just purely a snapshot of what the model is showing right now, but it is subject to very large and drastic changes, as we have seen over the years. Right, so this is the 700 millibar height anomaly for October. So if everything is working correctly, this should be the most reliable part of the whole thing. And for October, we have quite an unsettled looking scene, actually, with below average heights to our north, towards Greenland and Iceland. Otherwise, nothing else happening, really, but I think we'd be bringing in a westerly flow with that, and so therefore it could be a relatively unsettled signal for October in terms of that 700 millibar height anomaly. Maybe a rather westerly Atlantic-driven month. That's how November looks, and low pressure then is to the south of Greenland into the middle of the Atlantic. We also have some high pressure down to our southwest, and there's a bit of a ridge over and to the east of the country as well. Now with this, the jet stream will be doing something a little bit like that, potentially. So jet stream rising to our north. It's a more anticyclonic signal for November, which of course in November could be cold from frost and fog. We could be bringing in a wind from like a southerly, southeasterly direction. So it's one of those that could go either way, really. That could be a very mild scenario, or you could envisage frost and fog with that. Overall, though, not a particularly cold signal because there's no sort of northern blocking. That's December. We're at month 3 now, so a very long way out. We're reaching the sort of just for fun sort of time frame. So with this one, we've still got lots of low pressure in the North Atlantic. We've got high pressure from the Azores bridging into southern and then central Europe. Obviously, we'll be dragging in a west-southwesterly with that. And so it looks rather unsettled, particularly for northern western parts of the country. You expect quite a wettish December there, but also mild or even very mild with winds coming in from a west or southwesterly direction. That's January. It's month 4, so it's a really long way out. This is now just for fun. It's not much fun if you want cold weather, though, this winter, because we've got all of these below average heights to our north. We've got all of this high pressure to the south, and we're bringing in this flat west or southwesterly flow. So it's Atlantic-driven, and it just looks mild and unsettled, really, potentially even for the north. Quite stormy conditions in January. And then we're into February, and it doesn't get any better if you want cold weather this winter. So in February, 5 months away now, so it's not worth worrying about. But in February, we've got low pressure up to our north. We've got high pressure across central and western, southwest parts of Europe. And so this will be dragging up really warm air from the southwest. I say warm because we're bringing the air up from like the tropical Atlantic even there. So it's about as bad as it gets. That if you want cold weather in the winter, that's going to be doing nothing other than producing very or even exceptionally mild conditions. It's probably quite spring-like though, because that ridge down across covering much of central, western, southwestern, southern Europe, kind of like February 98. Think of that kind of sort of month. And then we get through to March, month 6, so in the realm of just the thumb. March looking anticyclonic with high pressure again over the country. Low pressure is out in the Atlantic. Jet stream doing something a little bit like that. Spring-like conditions continue into March too. The only difference is that it does look as though we've got some high latitude blocking beginning to appear over the North Pole. I haven't had that in any of the other months up to this point. So a little bit of high pressure starting to appear over the Arctic, but otherwise it is still looking like a mild, very spring-like type month, and pretty dry as well, with that ridge almost over the top of the UK and covering much of Western Europe. So temperature anomalies, we've given up those 700 millibar heights. I think you can guess by now that temperature anomalies are going to be pretty grim if you want a cold winter. It's get behind the stage long time again with the CFS, I think, for anybody who wants cold weather this winter. But we're going to go through the temperature anomalies. So this is October, looking milder or warmer than average across all parts of Europe. Really a little bit colder than average down in this extreme southeastern corner. Otherwise, generally in October, we're seeing temperatures of around half a degree to 1 degree above average. That's November, also looking mild and average through much of central northern Europe during November. Southern Europe does look a bit cooler through the Mediterranean, and then down in the southeast corner, particularly around Greece, Turkey, the Black Sea, those sort of areas, it hints at being a little bit colder down there. But generally, November is also a mild looking month, especially so for Iceland over here, and also for Scandinavia just there. So a mild month in November as well. Remember, in November we've got a ridge sitting somewhere around here. So with that, we will either be bringing up very mild southerly winds. There is a chance we might have a bit of a southeasterly component to wind. If we do, then we bring the air in off the continent, so it could be a little bit cooler, but certainly no high latitude blocking, nothing truly Arctic in November. And that's December, looking exceptionally mild across all parts of Europe in December, really. So, I mean, just the Atlantic unleashed here. We've got these long effect southwesterly winds blasting in during December. Temperature anomalies widely on the scale 1 to 2 degrees above average. Scandinavia is 2 to 3 degrees above average, and it goes more extreme as we get through into January. Look at January, extraordinarily warm month. A warm month being forecast for January. So widely on the scale, we're 1 to 2 degrees above average for the UK and Western Europe. We're actually one of the cooler places in Europe in January, because anywhere from Scandinavia and Germany eastwards is like 2 to 3 degrees above average, with some areas actually going 3 to 4 degrees above average up here around the Baltic Sea and into Western Europe. Extremely warm conditions in January, a midwinter heat wave almost, if you like. Obviously it's 4 months away, so it's not worth being too concerned about if you want cold weather this winter, but it does look very extreme, the temperature anomaly that's being forecast there for January. And that's February, again, another exceptionally mild month. This will be probably the mildest winter on record, I would have thought. Not just for the UK, but for most of Europe. If this was to come off, I think we would be breaking records left, right and centre. Just extraordinarily warm winter being forecast by the CFS V2 for winter 2019-2020. I mean, we're used to the CFS generally churning out milder or warmer than average forecasts, particularly for winter in Europe, but I've never seen it quite as extreme as this actually for the 3 winter month. So another really warm month in February. We are bringing up the wind in that sort of direction from the middle and the tropical Atlantic, so somewhere from the Azores or maybe even Bermuda by the time we're into February. So just exceptionally mild in February. March is also above average, but a little bit less so. Actually, the temperature only then is beginning to come down a little bit from being extraordinarily and abnormally and worryingly warm through the winter. It's beginning to lower a little bit, but it's still widely above average. Just a little bit less so compared to the winter months. But this is month 6 anyway, so it isn't worth being overly concerned about. And then we've got precipitation, so October, coming back to October, which of course, again, if the model is working correctly, is the most reliable part. And despite all of that low pressure that we have in the Atlantic around here, lots of low pressure up there, despite that, actually, for the UK, for France, for the Low Countries, generally it is a little bit drier than average during October. So on the 700 millibar high time, it looked like it would probably be quite a changeable-ish sort of month in October. But actually, the model, CFS, is forecasting a relatively dry month for the west of Europe in October. That's November, also looking relatively dry. You can see where the jet stream is going to be here. The jet stream will be in that sort of position. So, I mean, it's driving average through some parts of Scandinavia, driving average into Germany a little bit driving average through eastern parts of England. It's possible November could have a little bit of cool potential here. Out of all of the months that we've looked at, November could be the one that might deliver something a little bit more seasonable if the wind was to come in from sort of a southeasterly direction. The continent will be cooling down quite quickly under that high pressure. So November could be one that anyway produces a little bit of frost. Probably not much snow, but it could produce some frost. Then we get through to December. Atlantic is unleashed. So in December, of course, we're bringing in those west-southwesterly winds and going wetter than average through Ireland, through the UK. Much of Norway also looking wetter than average too. It goes even wetter into January. So January looks like a very wet, very mild, very zonal month. Westerlies are unleashed in that kind of direction. So above average precipitation widely over Scandinavia, above average precipitation for the UK and for Ireland, above average for France, for the Low Countries, for the west of Germany. Notice drier than average down through the Mediterranean. So that's where the high pressure is sitting, of course. And then we've got loads and loads of low pressure with the jet stream doing something like that. Very zonal month in January. February also looking rather above average. So this looks like quite a wet winter, actually. We would be making up the rainfall deficit in the UK if this came off. So February, again, wetter than average for the UK, for Ireland, much of France, much of Scandinavia, also wetter than average Germany, and the Low Countries, wetter than average. Southern parts of Europe are drier than average again. So the 3 winter months look exceptionally mild, westerly, Atlantic driven, but also quite wet. And then we get through to March, and the ridge is beginning to build up from the west of Europe, so we've got high pressure in that sort of position in March. And so jet stream is getting pushed northwards, doing something a bit like that perhaps. And March is just an all-round drier, probably still relatively mild or even quite warmish month. But the start of spring does go rather dry as the Atlantic begins to run out of puff. So, I mean, it's not great for anybody who wants a cold winter. That's about as bad as it gets. And even for the CFS, those temperature anomalies in December, January and February are very, very extreme, really. I mean, we're used to the CFS showing very mild winter conditions, but I don't think I've ever seen it looking quite as exceptional as that. That really is a very, very warm winter that is being forecast there by the CFS. Also quite wet as well. The only saving grace if you want a cold winter is that it's all in the just before time frame. So come out from behind the stage line. We've got a long way to go yet before we can be too concerned about what the CFS is saying. about this winter in a more reasonable time frame, which is October and November. So both October and November looking relatively dry, actually. And not a great deal going on. It does look as though November could be a bit anticyclonic as well. So might be a little bit of cold potential there from frost and fog, I suppose. But just a rather dryish autumn being seen, which of course does tie in with Galsworthy's autumn forecast. But he always suggested this autumn is probably going to be a relatively dry one, and that's what CFS is showing. This month. So that's it for CFS 6 Month Look-Ahead for this month. We'll do it all over again next month. I did say at the end of the last month's CFS 6 months, but I may scrap the CFS 6 Month Look-Ahead. I may put it on the back burner, and it's one of the longest standing and oldest videos continuously that we've done at Galsworthy's. Goes all the way back to the early days of 2012, 2013. So I would be quite disappointed to see it go, but I know a lot of you are quite fed up with it. And it seems every month we just repeat ourselves, say the same thing over and over again. So I haven't made a decision whether it's time to scrap the CFS 6 Month Look-Ahead or not. Remember, it is just for fun. It's just to have a laugh at it. So don't take it seriously, whatever you do. And I'll let you know in a month or so's time whether we are going to scrap CFS 6 Month Look-Ahead or keep it going. Now, tomorrow we've got the Fall of Winter 2019-2020 update coming up, so that's going to be a very interesting watch, I would have thought. We're also going to get the ECMWF, DWD and Metro France long-range models together to see what they're all showing for the next few months. That will cover the winter of 2019-2020 timeframe as well. And also tomorrow there'll be a live chat on the YouTube channel between 5 and 6 o'clock. We'll talk about the winter update. I'll take as many questions as I can, so it could be a very fun day, I think, tomorrow. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.